Last week, Bitcoin saw a massive dump. Currently, Bitcoin is pumping and Ethereum is pumping with it. In today's video, I'll explain to you guys what is going to happen next, whether we continue towards new all-time highs, or if this pump is over right now. After the dump last week over here on Bitcoin, we can see that Bitcoin currently is seeing a very strong push towards the upside. We can even argue that Bitcoin is creating a high probability break of structure back towards the upside right over here. But in my opinion, to my system, it's very hard to get extremely bullish right here because we can see that Bitcoin is currently running into resistance over here, but at the exact same time, and this to me is extremely important, when we look at the timing of this price action on Bitcoin, then we can see that this entire move to the upside from the low over here happened over the weekend, meaning that currently we have plenty of weekend liquidity resting over here, and also resting over here. And on top of that, we also have a CME gap to the downside as well. So according to my system, I can't be bullish over here. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I already opened a short over here and I added to my short position once we swept the high over here, and my stop loss is above the high over here. Now, do I think that my short position currently has a high probability to survive? Personally, I think there's a pretty decent probability that price is going to continue higher from here, maybe even going to seek new all-time highs. But my system to me is extremely clear and extremely confident as well. It means that if we have weekend liquidity resting over here like this, I simply can't get bullish over here. Does that mean that I'm blindly going to open up more shorts? No. If I get stopped out over here, then so be it. But if I get fresh confirmations within this entire area over here for Bitcoin that we could be seeing a move to the downside, then I'm definitely going to engage with brand new short positions on not only Bitcoin, but also on potential altcoins. Now, what could those confirmations look like? Currently, we can see that we have yesterday's high over here, which is also Monday's high. Now, if Bitcoin manages to, for example, sweep Monday's high, and yes, in that case, it might also tag my stop loss above this high over here, and then see a move to the downside and break structure to the downside, this to me could be a trigger to then start looking for shorts on the pullback with my stop above Tuesday's high, and then I'm targeting this weekend liquidity over here. Now, this could be a potential short that I'm definitely going to play. To me, the timing of this potential short is extremely important because if I want Bitcoin to see a bearish week over here to the downside, then I want the weekly high to be put in between Monday, which started right over here, and in between Tuesday. Those are the 2 days where I expect Bitcoin to form a potential high for the week. So if Bitcoin decides to, for example, consolidate today and then take out yesterday's high tomorrow on Wednesday, then I won't be looking for shorts over here anymore on Bitcoin. In that case, timing is telling me that it's much more likely to see a bigger bullish move towards potential new all-time highs because 14 days of access to the best trading community in the space, Tribe Capital, for just $1. That's our offer right now. All that you have to do is follow the first link in the description down below, get trade signals, educational live streams, educational PDFs, and so much more for just $1 for 14 days. Follow the link in the description and I'll catch you guys in the tribe. When we look at the weekly timing statistics for Bitcoin and we take the data of the last 4 years, then we can see that 59.1% of weeks form the weekly P1 on Monday and 20.7% of weeks form the P1 on Tuesday. Now combined, we are looking at an 80% probability for Bitcoin to form the first pivot of the week on Monday or Tuesday, meaning that if we anticipate a bearish week, then we anticipate the weekly high, aka the weekly first pivot, to be formed on Monday or Tuesday. If we anticipate a bullish week, then we anticipate a weekly low to be formed on Monday or Tuesday. Last week and the week before, we indeed formed that weekly high on Tuesday before seeing a very bearish week to the downside. Now, since I'm anticipating another bearish week, I want that weekly high to be formed on Monday or Tuesday. If not, then I'm flipping my bias to bullish, and then I'm expecting higher prices not only for this week, but also for this month on Bitcoin. So over here, I've marked out the week before and the week before that, where we form a Monday high over here, swept it on Tuesday, and then saw a bearish week after. Last week, we saw the exact same thing. Form a Monday high over here, sweep it on Tuesday, saw a bearish week after. So right now, potentially we could be seeing something very similar. Form a Monday high over here, sweep it on Tuesday, and then form a bearish week after. Or we are going to consolidate, maybe sweep the high tomorrow on Wednesday, and then see a bullish week after. So for me, timing is very, very important, and I won't let my bias be the same just because I feel like we see more downside. If timing and structure are pointing towards more upside, then I will flip my bias, and then I'll be looking for longs over here on the price of Bitcoin with my stop loss beneath this low in that case, and then I'll be targeting potential price discovery towards $116,000. When we look at the current price action for Ethereum, what we can see is that Ethereum is trading in an extremely clean range right over here with the range high right there, and then we have our range low right over here for the price of Ethereum. Now currently we can see that Ethereum is trading near that range high. It is not only trading near that range high, it is trading near that range high while taking out massive buy-side liquidity over here. Is this the time to get bullish on Ethereum? In my opinion, guys, it definitely isn't. I simply can't blindly long Ethereum when it is testing the range high, when at the exact same time we have these equal lows over here resting beneath the range low. So to me, I prefer to look for shorts over longs. Now, am I already short on Ethereum like I was on Bitcoin? No, I haven't opened up any short position on Ethereum just yet because I feel like there is some relative strength compared to Bitcoin. But for Ethereum, the exact same thing goes as for Bitcoin. When we look at the timing of Ethereum, Ethereum likes to put in the first pivot of the week on Monday or Tuesday as well. So if I mark out a timing period, it means that within this timing period, the yellow period over here, if I anticipate a potential bearish week to be formed on Ethereum, then I want that bearish week to form its high on either Monday or Tuesday. Because when we look at the weekly timing statistics for Ethereum, we can see that 60.1% of weeks form the first pivot of the week on Monday and 16.3% of weeks form the weekly P1 on Tuesday. All right, it's time for a quick little coffee break. Trading is intense, but do you know what's even more intense? Missing out on our daily updates. So I'm going to ask you guys to make a quick little sacrifice. So please make sure to like and subscribe in order to also check out our next video. Also 15.4% of weeks forming on Wednesday. So let's say for Ethereum, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday are the biggest days to form a potential weekly P1. Now together, when we combine these percentages, we are looking at a 92% probability to form the first pivot on Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday. So I can slightly extend this timing period to the right and take Wednesday into account as well. A slightly bigger timing period compared to Bitcoin, in my opinion. So same as for Bitcoin. Also for Ethereum, I'm going to await bearish confirmations over here. If I see that Ethereum potentially is going to sweep the high over here, maybe this one as well included, and sweep some more buy-side liquidity while once again mitigating that range high area. If this happens, once we sweep that high, then the low that brings us to that high, aka the low right over here, becomes a significant low to break. If Ethereum then decides to break that low and break structure to the downside, then I'll be looking for shorts up here, targeting that range low liquidity pool. In that case, my short will look something like this with my stop above the weekly high, targeting lower levels, and then I'll be targeting the range low liquidity pool where we have those equal lows that are marked out at the beginning of this analysis right over here. Now for Ethereum, there's one way that I'm looking for potential longs. It's if I get a range breakout model right over here and if that aligns with time. So if I extend this back to the left and we assume that most of the weekly P1s are formed on Monday or Tuesday, if Ethereum decides to form a new weekly P2 after Wednesday's candle has started, so for example tomorrow, then I'm anticipating a potential range breakout over here. Now, in that case, will I blindly long Ethereum over here with my stop loss over here, targeting higher levels? No, because this is not how I trade a range breakout. If I want to trade a range breakout, I obviously want timing to align with price, which will happen once we sweep the weekly high on Wednesday or Thursday. But then I want a sweep of some internal liquidity afterwards to wreck the early longs over here. If that happens, and if that is being followed up by then another breakout above the range high over here, then I'll be looking to long Ethereum upon a retest with my invalidation beneath that internal low, and then I'll be targeting a range breakout model. And guys, to be fair, in that case, I'll be targeting $3,500 for Ethereum and beyond. Another Bitcoin and Ethereum update completed. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, make sure to smash up the like button, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Ciao, ciao!